Woo, Wild One, it's Bernadette. I am the creator, channel, and publisher of the award-winning Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, and you are here seeking the wisdom that only Eagle can bring to your spirit. And so you must have Eagle on your mind. Maybe you've been seeing Eagles everywhere. You've been hearing about them in songs. People have been mentioning to them, and you're like, ooh, I got to figure out what all this is about Eagle. Well, you've come to the right place because the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck is the most comprehensive animal deck on the market. And my channel, whatismyspiritanimal.com, it's the associated website, and here with the YouTube channel is the most comprehensive anything out there having to do with spirit, totem, and power animals and animal symbolism and meaning. So let's get started because woo, eagle energy in medicine is no joke. It's powerful, it's deep, and I want to make sure you get all of the information that you need today. So let's start out with just a few facts, facts about eagles, because right there, when you start taking a look at their behavior and their mating habits and, everything about them, that's where a lot of the symbolism and meaning will come from, from lots of different cultures around the world, whoever identifies with or, has eagles in their country that they've studied over the centuries, and their myths and their legends and their stories. You put all of that together, and that's where you figure out what it is that eagle is trying to tell you, right? Okay, so when we take a look at eagles, of course, they fly very high. Their eyesight is 8 times stronger than a human. What is amazing to me is the grip in their talons is 10 times stronger than humans. 10 times, you guys, that's no joke. And the biggest eagle that we know so far, the wingspan is 8 feet long. That's a really big bird. So the first thing that you want to know about eagle symbolism and meaning is that they've got the ability to get in their grip what they really want, and they're not going to let go. And whatever that is going to be very, very hard pressed to, you know, extract itself from that, right? Okay. So the other thing that eagle will tell you is that because it does fly so high, it's a call for you to see the big picture, but see it with a discerning eye, because that eagles can see 8 times better than a human. That means they can see things from farther away. They're going to be able to see things coming that we are not going to be able to see coming. They're going to be able to take a look at things way, way over there that we may not see. And some of that is a call to see into a little bit into the future. Open up your third eye chakra and be able to see with that instead of these eyes. There's just a whole lot wrapped up into that. And of course, when you're talking about birds of any kind, you're talking about that ability to have liftoff and that ability to fly towards what you want and fly really high. And certainly, eagles nest so high in mountains and at the tippy top of trees and poles. I mean, they just can never get high enough, really, really away from humans and predators enough. And I can identify that with that. The world is very peoply, which is why shamanism and all things animal is my thing, right? And probably you too. So when we start to take a look a little bit deeper, and we start to take a look at what eagles here in the United States, eagle of course is our national bird, the bald eagle, but really all around the world, eagles are associated with pride, honor, and courage. And so maybe you're going through a time where you're trying to enhance your own pride and courage. Maybe you're trying to ramp it down a little bit, meaning maybe that pride is a little bit of a false pride. And in an animal, there's no such thing really as false pride. They know who they are. It's kind of like the saying, a lion never has to tell someone they're a lion, right? They just show up and everybody's like, ooh, you're a lion. Kind of the same with eagles. They've got that look, like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets, he's got that look. And when we apply human emotion to animals, which that's a whole nother video for another time, because they absolutely do feel emotion. It can be easy to think that owl really thinks it's something. But I have worked with so many animals over, gosh, the last umpteen years, decades and decades, that I have found that animals really do know who they are. They really do have a sense of their own power. And that might be a call for you today, is to really have a sense of your real power, not inflated, but be authentic with yourself. And if you don't like where you are, then eagle medicine and energy gives you the opportunity to rise above that see the big picture, spot far, far away what you want to do, and go for it. I'm telling you, eagle energy, I could be here all day talking about it. So, um, eagle is one of the highest flying birds, and the associations are that they're the chief of all creatures. So one of the things in the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, and you may not care anything about tarot and may not want to know anything about tarot, but I would encourage you maybe to, I don't know, uh, just consider it for a minute, not because it's my deck, but because the additional meanings of, well, I use the Rider-Waite tarot system, which is like the tarot system that's been used for centuries, and just the in-depth symbolism and archetypal characters that are in there, man, they can enrich anything that you're trying to find out, which is why the Animal Allies wanted me to do a deck. Well, in my deck, the bald eagle is the emperor, and he is the king of all things. I mean, even on the card, it reads ambition, fearlessness, and leadership. There you go. There's eagle in a bucket. We're done here. Not really, but um, when you think about being an emperor, and that doesn't necessarily have to do with the masculine gender or whatever gender you identify with or don't. It just has to do with stepping into a role of leadership and understanding that ambition can be a really good thing. And maybe you're wanting to step into leadership, but maybe your ambition is not where it needs to be, or your courage is not where it needs to be. As an animal spirit guide, oh my gosh, eagle can really help you with that. So um, when we're taking a look kind of across the world, the Egyptians regarded eagle as symbolizing both the Great Spirit and the sun at noon. They saw it as rising over the mundane constraints, which is again that really kind of look like you're beneath me. I don't think that they think that. I think that they like most animals, they don't spend time on the superfluous like we do. They do what needs to get done. They live the life they want to live, and that's that. I mean, it's the it's the ultimate freedom, which is why my catchphrase for everybody is always "Stay wild," and become part of the wild pack. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and become part of the wild pack. And then, when we are all talking together and we're finding solutions and we're helping each other out, interpret dreams or what this animal means to you at this moment, this time, all the interpretations of the symbolic meanings. I always say we are the wild ones, because that's really, I mean, all animals do bring that to us, but eagle in particular. Now, the soaring of the eagle, well, let me go back to one really quick thing. Because the Egyptians see the Great Spirit, the eagle, as the sun at noon, that's its highest point. That starts to really get into its hottest time when it burns the most brightly. And when you're talking about an animal that's a solar symbol, you are talking about also a connection with your solar plexus chakra, which is about the color is yellow, and it's about as you might imagine, because it's connected to the sun, but it's about a fiery, just this heat, this creative fire that's inside of you. So, below the solar plexus chakra is your sacral chakra. And that, because it's orange, it's very associated with fire. But, let's be honest here, the sun, the sun's a big ball of fire. And it heats up everything, and it's a very life-giving force. And so you might be being called by eagle to step into to embrace your courage, to amp up your courage, step into a position of leadership, so that you can help save lives or bring a life-giving force to something that will ultimately benefit yourself and many, many others. And when I say give life to something, yes, that can be a human life. Maybe you do work with other kinds of animals, rescue animals, just all kinds of animals. And maybe you want to start a business that's going to be helpful to other people. Maybe you want to get into a relationship, and that combination of you and this person, whether friend, whether lover, family, whatever, that is going to be very helpful to you, because there's something that you guys are going to create in that relationship that will be beneficial to you guys, or to y'all, as I say down here in the South, and to many others. Now, there's a video below. I'm going to go into eagle as a spirit totem and power animal. And those phrases are very interchangeable depending on what culture that you're talking to or learning from. And it can be really confusing sometimes. So when the spirit animal world the Animal Allies asked me to create the arc, they downloaded into me a new system for working with their medicine and energy and their symbolic meanings to do your healings, to do your shamanic practitioner work, to do your shamanic journeying. Maybe you're doing psychic mediumship and you want to get closer to all animals. Maybe you're an animal communicator. This can all help you. And so I won't go into the whole thing now, but watch the video below. And briefly, let's say that we're talking about eagle as a spirit animal. And you may have cried out for spirit for eagle to come help you. And that may be why eagle is showing up to you today. Or you just may be seeing eagles everywhere and not really know why. That's because eagle is trying to get your attention. It's trying to give you the love, the support, the healing, the inspiration that you need at the moment. Even if you didn't know that eagle was the animal you needed, eagle knew it. That's how the animal allies work. So when we have an eagle that soars next to us or with us, it is, pardon me, just be clear, the winds of change are on the way. Some kind of rebirth or renewal is going to happen. And we can know that because so many birds can really be associated with the phoenix. They molt, they grow their feathers back, and the feathers grow back just as beautifully as when they fell out. They have a resurrection of kind just because of how they can take off and they can do that kind of thing that we see phoenix doing. So most birds, I would say, not the birds that don't really fly, like emu or ostrich. Poor peacocks, I love them. They're so beautiful, but they're kind of galumpy flyers. Pangolin, or not pangolin, but not pangolin, for goodness sake. Blue-footed booby, they're not big flyers, that kind of thing. But the birds that really like burst up from you or up from the earth, they can be associated with that. Now, the other thing is, if you're facing a challenge and you just are not sure how you're going to get through it, remember some of the symbolism from the ancient Greeks, right? I believe it's when Icarus tried to fly, or his son tried to fly. As a metaphor, the ancient lore of getting so close to the sun, it did melt his wings and he did plummet to earth. But you don't have to get that close that you can get scorched. But you might need to be willing to get scorched a little bit if you're going to achieve greatness. I've never met anybody who has achieved great things. And great things are different person to person, right? For some people, it's like Bill Gates, he builds an empire. For some people, it's getting, elected in, into government. For other people, it's finding their soulmate and getting married and staying together for forever, which eagle is a great helpmate for. And that might be why eagle is showing up to you as a spirit animal. You're to the time where you want to mate for life, and you're wanting that mate to come into you. You're wanting that love to come into you. Listen, let me tell you something. Eagle is a tremendous animal spirit guide for that. Because when you work with eagle as a spirit animal, you're naturally going to be inclined to be more honorable, to have more courage, to be a more clear truth speaker and sayer and doer. And that energy is going to attract a person of a like kind. And you're going to make an amazing power couple. So good for you. Make sure that you come back and tell us when the wedding is, right? Or just when the commitment is. It doesn't even have to be a wedding, right? Okay. So one of the other things is, even though eagles can turn their heads 120 degrees, it's still about seeing what's forward. Because, mostly, eagles can fly backwards, right? Not like a hummingbird, but they can kind of stop in air and maneuver. But at the end of the day, pretty much their time is spent flying forward. Even if they happen to look this way or that, they're still moving forward. So be clear when you embark on whatever you're going to embark on that you really are ready to move forward. And if you know that you're ready, then you just call on eagle to support you with that. Now, if we move on to eagle as an animal totem, your totem animal is kind of who you are. Now that starts with your zodiac sign. That's the birth totem that you were born under. But like for me, I'm a triple Scorpio, y'all. And I have identified with bears my whole life. I mean, even as a kid, my family called me Bernadette because I was just so obsessed with bears. And I'm built like a bear. I have the temperament of a bear. My cycles in life, where they get really sleepy and they just kind of can't wake up and they go into hibernation at times and I'm a bear. You may be an eagle. You are, oh man, you're so adventurous. You just want to spread your wings and experience everything life has to offer. You're not afraid of anything. You're the kind of person that can rise to the greatest heights that there are, that there is to rise to, and just be like, hold my beer, I'm going in. And you do it with such grace and such ease that you inspire people. You're just such an inspirational person. At the same time, you can stay very grounded to Mother Earth. Remember, eagles have 4 toes, and in numerology, the number of 4 is the most solid of foundations. You've got 4 equal sides. It's very hard to break that. And because they do come down to Mother Earth as well as soar to the heavens, you're probably a person that's really, really attuned to getting messages from spirit or God or your angels or your spirit guides or the all that is or source or whatever it is that you call it. You're probably a very, very in tune person. Um, Also, you might be a little intimidating to other people. They kind of see you like they see lion people, a little bit superhuman. Okay, nothing you can do about that. Just be aware that a good leader will always speak from a place of love, no matter how tough that love might be for others to hear. That's still the place that it's wise to speak from. Not that you want to tiptoe around and not hurt people's feelings, because you can't be responsible for what people say, but just realize that your words carry, and your actions and your deeds carry a bit more gravitas maybe than somebody else's, or they carry a bit more power or more weight than somebody else's, and just see if you can be mindful of that. Now, woof, if you've decided to call on eagle as your power animal, and just briefly, we're all connected, you guys. And I believe that we have been eagles, we have been whales, we've been trees, we've been everything. I know it's a little woo-woo and a little out there, but I honestly do believe it. And what that means is that always, anything that you admire about eagles, any kind of skill or ability or spiritual meaning that they have that you want to be able to channel and use for yourself, it's called invoking. You can invoke eagle spirit from inside of you. It's energy, it's medicine. But I rather think of it as that you remember that part of you that is eagle, and you unite your own spirit with the eagle that's already inside of you. And some of the reasons that you might do that is to improve on your perspectives, to make it easier for you to take a higher ground. When you are struggling with things, just that ability to see, what's really there, and be able to see, I think we all have said about our parents at some point, or, I hope so, how did they know? Well, that's because they've got 25 or 30 years on us and experience, and they can see things ahead of time that are probably going to happen before we as children can see them. And that's one part of this. But the other part of this is, it certainly can be said that through your third eye chakra, because eagles can see so far into the distance, you can see far into the future, and you can see things that could happen. You can do predictive kind of work and probably be very accurate and make your choices accordingly. I can't tell you how many times it's saved my hiney being able to take a look into something for myself and go, ooh, I don't think I would have seen that coming if I weren't using my clairvoyance, my psychic senses, my intuition. I don't know that I would have seen it, and I would have wham, walked straight into that wall, or wham, got hit by that bus. So, animals don't second guess their instincts. You might see a cat or a dog try to, can I make it up on that? Can I jump on that? And they'll miss the mark. I mean, my God, YouTube is full of hilarious videos about that, right? And we all do from time to time, but mostly animals go on instinct. Well, wild animals do. And even the domesticated animals, they're still wild in their spirit. They're still wild in their heart, y'all. That's why a cat will turn around and tear you up when they've had enough, and you'll have no forewarning. They'll just be like, now can you imagine, an 800 or 1,000-pound lion doing that to you? Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you be careful now when you're invoking animals as your power animal, that can get like big. It can get really, really big. And I have seen people do the most amazing things that were a little scary. I had a guy one time that was invoking gorilla. And he I mean, he just really, his eyes changed. All of a sudden, he was a medium kind of shaped guy, but all of a sudden it was like his body metamorphosized, and to the rest of us in the class, he bulked out and really had that, and his jaw jutted forward. And when he turned around, I mean, I had an acting student do that one time, little old fella, and he was, he was being, I think, a chimp or something. And it was, sorry, y'all, I got this crazy errant feather sticking out that's making me crazy in my hair. Um, this kid turned around on stage and it blew everybody back because he was chimp. He was gorilla. This guy in this spirit animal class was gorilla. And he was able to channel that energy so much. He turned he punched a hole in my wall in my office. I was happy to pay for it to clean it up because he wasn't playing. He was not play acting. I'm telling you right now, that old boy turned right into that gorilla. It was crazy. So one of the other things that I want to say to you guys about the eyesight of um, eagle, when you're calling forth, you're invoking that eagle as a power animal, is remember now they can turn their heads 120 degrees. And we've talked a little bit about that vision, but remember, that gives them the opportunity to see in the past, the present, and the future. So it's not just future oriented, it's not just now oriented. You can see in the past. And because their eyesight is so acute, it blows past that eyesight, hindsight is 2020 thing. Oh my gosh, it goes way past that. Now, um, let me also say that people who really start to study the animal allies, especially people on a shamanic path, they're not, sometimes they can want to use that knowledge to help them achieve things that are just going to get them in trouble. They're just going to get them in trouble. And one of those animals is eagle. They're birds of prey, and when they strike, they can come at you and hit you with the force of a bullet, and they'll strike twice. So let's be careful when you're calling out eagle energy. You don't want to strike something with the force of a bullet. Bernadette says, and then I will counter that with, because that's, for just an everyday life, that's pretty good advice. But I will counter that with saying that, um, you know, the world that we live in is not always the safest world, and things do happen. And it is amazing when you practice, working with power animals. It's amazing how fast you can summon up an animal from inside of yourself. And if you should come to a time where you and your family are, having a rough time or are threatened or whatever, you may want to call on that energy. And you'll find that if this is the only video of mine you watch, let me just tell you I'm a super authentic, keep it real kind of shamanic practitioner. And in terms of people that do teaching within the spiritual realms or the metaphysical realms, I, 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 I have never found that spirit, and in particular animals, want me to keep it all sugar coated, happy, happy, joy, joy. Yes, life, it can be like that more than not if you want it to be and if you make it be. And gosh knows the animals can help you do that. But let's face it, in all reality, there are times in our life that we need a stronger energy maybe than ourselves. I've got another video, I'll share the link down there. Um, I almost died in 2019. I mean, like that close. And everybody expected me to go out. But a spirit animal saved my life, and it was a big, giant black stallion. And it's a whole long story about that I won't go into, but that was not a fun moment in my life. And if I only thought that the animal kingdom was all about the happy, happy, joy, joy down in my heart, I might not have known to open up to that or to accept the messages that were coming, or invoke that part of myself. And I might not be here to be telling you guys about that today. So moving on, there are a couple of other things about eagle as a power animal, and it's not, please understand, I'm not trying to dwell on the negative. What I am trying to tell you is the reality of the power of these animals, which really, what that means, y'all, is that you're going to become so much more familiar and intimate with and closer to the power that's inside of you. All animal allies can help you self-actualize, and they can help you with your self-development. And all of them bring a different magic to that, a different beauty and majesty. Eagle just happens to be, a hubba hubba kind of one. Okay, so use your good wisdom, use your good judgment, and just be really sure that whatever path you're choosing, that you're asking Eagle to help you soar to, once you've set it in motion, all actions have consequences, and it can serve you very, 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 very well. Um, very well. And it can serve you maybe not so well. So just, use that a little discerningly. Now, if we talk about, the Native American culture and their animal, meanings, their tradition, oh my gosh, the golden eagle, the bald eagle, they're very sacred creatures. And by the way, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you're not even allowed to pick up a bald eagle feather or any kind of eagle feather in the United States unless you have permission. People do it every day. I mean, they do every day. But just so you know, I think I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that. So just be careful if you're snatching up eagle feathers or, especially if you're like out in the West or around mountains, that kind of thing. And so, depending on the tribe of the Native Americans and their, for Native American animal symbolism, eagle represented bravery, um, wisdom, and the bearer of prayers to the spirit realm. So, in their tradition, you would give your prayers to the Great Spirit, to Eagle, and Eagle would fly it up to the Great Spirit. So you might be having something going on where you feel like you need a little bit of help getting your prayers heard, and or getting them, kind of up to the sky. I find a lot with clients that when we really start getting down into the deep work, they they're terrified when they pray, or they don't pray because they're terrified they're not worthy. They're terrified that they're not good enough, or they've been bad, or they've been something, and that God or their angels or the all that is, or source, or whatever you call it or want to call it, is not going to pay attention to them because they haven't been good enough. Um, they live in a shame, kind of a shame fog. And so if that has anything to do with you, your path to healing that might very well be to start working with eagle energy so that you can get eagle to help you remove that false thinking, that shame, get rid of it, and understand that you're just as worthy as anybody to have your prayers answered, to have yourself heard by the universe. And I'll tell you the secret of that, you guys. I don't know where you are in your spiritual path or your spiritual awakening, or your walk, what you believe, what you don't believe. But in the traditions that I follow, which is really all traditions, I'm a buffet spiritualist. I take what I consider to be the most helpful and the best from all faiths, and I implement it as best I can. Um, when when you when you cry out to God, or you cry out to the universe, or whatever, what I ascribe to, what I believe is, you're not separate from the universe. It's like Eckhart Tolle says, you are the universe, and the universe is you. So when you're sending these messages and prayers up, understand you're sending them to yourself as well. And all of that shame and all of that guilt and all of that stuff that you're toting around, that's preventing you from hearing yourself. And that's preventing you from giving yourself permission to do the things that you want to do, and achieve the things that you want to achieve, and live the life that you want to live, which really is ultimately why working with spirit, totem, and power animals is so important. It's the self-actualization of that. It's the personal power that you're going to achieve. So just really one more thing. The Celts, the three Celtic gods, they have eagles associated with them. Odin, I think it's Lul, and uh, oh gosh, I can't. Oh, Wodan, the chief of the gods in Germany. And then just very quickly, I have a whole series coming about animals and dreams, but I do want to mention you might be here because you're having dreams about eagles. That happens so much. People are like, why am I having all these dreams about this animal or that animal or these animals? And there's a whole way of interpreting those dreams, a whole way of, um, you know, seeing what they mean for you. And I won't go into that now, but dreams about eagles can have several meanings. If the eagle is in flight, it can be about going to getting a different perspective on a situation or a person that you're just like, I know this is not right, but I need a different perspective. And it might also be a message. Remember that 120-degree that eagles can do. It might also be a message from the universe to pay closer attention to your inner voice, to your psychic self, to your clairvoyance, to your intuition. And very quickly in feng shui, images of eagles are placed in the north and the east because they think that brings the home good luck. And especially if they want to be in a committed relationship, if they want to be in that, have that life mate, that's something that they do. So I hope this has been helpful. I could talk about animals all day long, and I bet you could too. I bet you're just like me and all the other wild ones. You just love, love, love animals. But I hope that you will pick up your copy of the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can learn more and more and more about working with animals and their energy and walk your shamanic path and develop your psychic abilities. We do all of that here, and it's all centered around the magic and the mystery of the animal spirit guides. So thank you for joining me. The most important thing that you can remember from today is to stay wild.